Hi guys, Steph here. I'm with Sarah from Safe Steps today. We are going to learn a little bit about what these guys are doing in Southend and the wider area. Sarah's kindly jumped on a call with me today, and yeah, we'll just go straight into a question, Sarah. Tell us what you guys do. What does Safe Steps do for Southend?
Safe Steps we are the domestic abuse service provider for Southend, and we have in various forms been this for 40 years. So the company name is Safe Steps. Prior to that, there was an operational name of SOS Domestic Abuse Projects, and for those of us who have been around many years, Southend Women's Aid. So any of those names, if people think, I remember that, we are all one. This is what we are now. But we are now Safe Steps, which has enabled us to open our reach wider, to deal with a much broader client basis, and also take our services into different areas. So we are based in Westcliff. That's our head office. It's referred to as the Dove Centre. And again, many years ago, we had the name the Dove Project. When we were much smaller, we operated under the Dove Project, which was the name of the adult service. And over time, the building has become the Dove Centre, because we never wanted to lose that name, because it was a name that people knew and trusted. So the building is referred to as the Dove Centre. But if you hear that word Dove, it's all us. But just over time, it has been a slow progression and a slow development and kind of changes along the way. But all changes have been for positive. So they've all been in order to open our reach and to help us achieve greater things and for more people. So if I break down what we do, in the Dove Centre, we have the adult team. Now, we sometimes refer to it as the crisis team, because that's how people will often come to us. They come to us because there's a problem. They come to us because something's happened recently, or they come to us because they're having a sense of dread that something that's happened before is likely to happen again. So we are accessible, we are available. I will be sharing all our contact details with Steph and the best way to get hold of us. But our adult service is quite responsive. So those who are assessed as being in quite immediate need will be seen by somebody the same day. We will deal with that there and then. We will make other appointments for those who are not assessed, and the assessment will come from questions that we will ask. But we can see people off site. I'm talking pre-lockdown. Obviously, things are a little bit changed at the moment, so I'm talking very general at the moment. But we'll have different outreaches. We'll see people off-site. We go to HARP to see people. We go to STARS, to the CGL, to see people. We meet people at the council, children's centres. So the key thing really for us is to be quite client-centred. What is needed in order to make this person safe? So within that, we have all ranges of risk. So we have separate teams for high risk, the IDVAs, and we have a different team for the non-high risk. And people may alternate between those two teams. So if there is a situation that actually escalates someone's risk and they're now high, they will have to come under the umbrella of the IDVA team, because that's a slightly different framework that we need to work to. And those who are under the IDVA team, where the staff work incredibly hard to mitigate those risks, they will then come under the team, but it's all under one roof. You're not moving from different services. It's just something that we have to do because we have different frameworks, different funders for different elements of our work. So the adult team is crisis, assessment of risk, needs, what is needed to mitigate that risk, what do you need in order to improve your safety of yourself, your children, or your other dependents around you. But once that risk is mitigated and people have made some quite positive changes, in order to help maintain those changes, we have things like recovery groups. We do have these programs, and they're quite structured, and that helps people maintain those changes and give them that confidence, whilst also, I'll be honest, we can keep a little eye on things, that's going on, so we can keep the clients with us. But this is why we have these groups. Now, we also then have counselling. So for many people will achieve what they need to feel safer once they've had their one-to-one work. Some won't, and we'll have those recovery groups. Now, those recovery groups may satisfy people, and they will feel quite safe after that, and they'll feel that they've made the changes, they're feeling positive about their future. But there's some that won't. And for those who will have counselling. So they will need some more intensive therapy in order to help cope with the trauma that they've been through. We also have a child and family. Now, many people, if you're familiar with the area, would know the building opposite was the Fledglings. It used to be the contact centre that we had. So again, we haven't lost that name, Fledglings. That's the name of the team. It's the child and family. So this is where the non-abusing parent and the children will do some parallel work, and it's about kind of reattaching or keeping that bond. It's that collective recovery after the trauma that they have experienced as a family. Because people will often say to us, oh no, my child didn't witness anything. They were never in the room. I'm telling you now, they know everything. They hear everything. And sometimes if they are not given that platform to process what they heard, the problem gets distorted in children's minds. It gets bigger than it is, and it becomes really quite trauma filled for them. So this is an element for them to understand what they went through, provide some safety work, because we know that once a relationship has ended, that doesn't necessarily mean that domestic abuse ends. We know ending relationship is a trigger time. That's when things can escalate. And sadly, we also know that children can get used in these situations. So it's around protecting the needs of the child. It's making people well aware of what their wishes and feelings are, validating what they have been through, and so that non-abusing parent is actually fully aware of what their child has been through, working very closely with social care, social services, and it's around building that recovery for the non-abusing parent and the child. We have a specialist team in that we deal with all teens. So we are the only provider in Essex that actually has a dedicated, we call it a STIPFA. So it's a child and young person, IDVA. And we have a specialist team, and they do loads of work with schools and healthy relationships, because sadly, a 13 to 19 age group, we have some very young people entering very adult relationships. And the intervention that is needed for that age group is quite different from the adult. They don't sit within our child recovery service, and they don't sit within the adult. So we have a dedicated team for that. We have the refuge. There's no women's aid, there's no domestic abuse service really out there that would not have some sort of accommodation. But it's not our go-to. A refuge accommodation is for when keeping somebody safe in the community is not possible. We will work so hard to keep somebody in their own home by providing court orders, assisting with the criminal justice system. But ultimately, if we cannot keep somebody safe in their own home, then we will look to be seeking some emergency accommodation. And then I think lastly, one of the key services that we provide is that for the whole of Essex, we provide the helpline. So we have started this in April 2019. And for the first year, we averaged 3,000 referrals for the whole of Essex. So that's covering 14 districts. Now, Southend is just one of the 14 districts that we are working with. And that really is the helpline number. That's your main number. That is often your route into all services. So if you think, gosh, I'm on the border, I don't know if I come under Southend, I don't know if I come under Watchford, I don't know where I come. You've got one number for Essex, and let us do that wiring for you. Let us do all your assessments, do all your assessment of risks, your needs, and we will get you with the right service. And that number will be shared with Steph. So that's kind of us, really, in a nutshell, of what we do.
That is brilliant, Sarah. I've got a really good idea of the breadth and width of it, what it is that you guys are doing. With regard to the refuge, that is what the St. John's guys have been collecting for. And so what does that look like for clients of yours this Christmas? So what will Christmas be like this at the refuge, for instance?
I mean, Christmas at Refuge, I'll be honest, is up in the air at the moment. We don't know. Often some families will go and stay with other family members over the Christmas period. You know, they will have extended family. You know, they won't return to their fled area, but they will have some extended family that they will want to stay with. But Boris Johnson is changing his mind all the time, and we don't know how that's going to look, what shape that's going to be at the moment. So things may change. So we don't know if we're going to have a completely full house, a half full house, an empty house. We don't know what we're going to have at Christmas. But the build up for Christmas is is the most ridiculous, most exciting time in there at the moment. These kids are like, they are living their best life because they form some very close friendships with other families. So there is, everybody has their own kind of room, their own flat, their own sleeping and living area. But the kitchen and the main lounge is communal. So that does encourage that more kind of whole home living. And with that, we do have a dedicated children's worker. The place, she's decorating the tree this week with the kids. I just think what it's going to look like at the end of it. Who knows? But we don't care. It's their home. As we always say, we are working in their home. They are not living in our place of work. And that's something that's very important to us. It is their home. And if they want to decorate this tree over, that's their home. Whatever they want to decorate, they've got all crafts going on at the moment. So it's people do come to us really a little bit shell shocked. I think mostly because of what they've been through. And also, if you can put yourselves in a situation where all of a sudden you've got to drop everything you've got to drop your home, your school, often your place of work, your extended family for a period of time, your friends, your staff. It's very disorientating for people. Then you've got to come and start sharing with other people, and you haven't really got a lot of your things, and you do. I mean, people don't. It's quite a rarity that people come to us for nothing. It happens, but it's quite a rarity people come to us for nothing. But they certainly aren't able to transfer their lives or anything like that. They will come to us, with suitcases. But it's like you pack for a holiday, but you're never ending. You're never coming home. So as much as you can pack, what do you pack? How much of your life can you actually fit into a handful of bags? Because ultimately, if people are getting public transport, just getting the trains, it is quite certainly very displacing for people. So we do like them to feel at home as quickly as possible. We do like them to feel comfortable. We do our best to provide that environment. We have, in lockdown, we put in Netflix and Disney Channel, things like that, because I thought binge watching and box sets is something, the world outside was very restricted, so all activities that we would have done and people going out, people, weren't able to do. So in the best way possible, we were trying to bring entertainment and things in, but do it in a safe way. And we provided loads of like play equipment outside and things like that, and we tried to do some activities, but they all had to be inside. They couldn't really be out. So it's what refuge looks like, what refuge looks like in lockdown are kind of two different things, really. But we have definitely. Well, I like to think we've done our best.
Hear that? Yeah. From what I understand, last year there was a rise of nearly 40% in domestic abuse cases. By the end of 2019, what do you think is going to be happening now on that? I mean, has there been an increase? I mean, from what I can see, there's been an increase when we look in social media and what's been saying. But for you at the Dove Centre, has there been an increase?
I mean, our experience is that as we went into lockdown, there was an increase. Back in March, we did go below what our usual figures were, and it was quite eerie. You're thinking, you think, because you think domestic abuse doesn't go away. No, it's very rare. Things don't change, things don't fix themselves. So where are these people? And when are they going to come to us? You felt you had to be kind of prepared. And then it did really. May, June, we got incredibly busy, and since then we have maintained that busy level. So our Compass helpline, compared to our 2019 figures, our lockdown figures, I think our June and July, we had 107% increase. So we doubled what we're doing. Where we were averaging 220 to 250 a month, we kind of hit 470, 490. So we went incredibly busy. And what we've done, we've kind of maintained it. We have slight dips, we'll go down to the late 300s, but we haven't returned to where we were last year. I think within our services, we have seen an increase of cases that we're working with locally. what we've seen is that we're holding cases so much longer. We're having to do so much work with people just because it's so hard. You know, with the first lockdown, courts closed. Well, people still commit crime, and then you end up with quite a backlog of cases, and then trying to support a victim when court dates. You know, we have cases going into court now for offences that occurred back in December last year, and that's a long time for a victim to have that hanging over them, really. So, you know, things like courts we're really kind of still on catch up for. It's just been, it's like trying to do your job but with one arm strapped behind your back. It's incredibly difficult, it's quite restrictive. But I think teams are absolutely fantastic. You know, we haven't dropped a KPI. We have delivered, you know, staff have really been very quite creative in how they engage with people.
Amazing. So with that in mind, so how can we support, how can our community and the people listening, how can we best support you guys? We know about you. Do you have a fundraising page, or is there other things that happen throughout the year, or particular things that you need that you can receive help by?
Sure. I mean, there's two strands really to helping us. I think if I can touch on firstly, it's kind of helping the community would be the first thing, you know, really. I think anybody who has an interest in what we do, we would like them to have an interest in actually keeping their community safe, and championing the work that we do. So having an ear out for friends, if you think things don't sound right, if you think that this is a relationship that's quite unhealthy, you know, to give our helpline number, that would be one thing that we would really encourage doing. Our poster, the Compass poster, the helpline poster, is available on we have a separate website for the helpline. You're able to print it off to download that, put that up in your, you know, in your church, put that up in your places of work. So that would be one thing we would really encourage, because I think to help us would be to also actually help the area, help the community, hugely helps us. But to actually, you know, on the Safe Steps website is currently under construction at the moment. We were hoping for it to be completed last week. It's not going to be completed last week. I don't think it's going to be completed this week. Fingers crossed for next week. So keep that in mind, because on there is a page where you can make donations, things like that. The donation of goods, it's challenged at the moment because we have to put things in quarantine, because we are limiting staff contact. But what we have been asking people for is, no matter how small, even just like a supermarket voucher, something like that, so people can actually source what they need themselves, rather than a physical transference of goods, which involves us people handling. Something more direct at the moment is something that we are is the most sensible. I know it's not the most exciting way to do it, but at the moment, within the current situation that we have, that is the most sensible. We are unable to accept anything secondhand, again, because we haven't got the quarantine space, we haven't got the quarantine time, and we're asking staff to handle things when, you know, we're not even in the office at the moment. You know, we're able to work quite from different remote areas. So I think those key things really would be the most helpful to us.
Brilliant, that's really good to know. Sarah, could you let us know what that number is, please, the Compass number?
The Compass number, yes, it is 0330 333 7444. I have a card here, so if you see any of these, I don't know if where's my camera there?
Oh, yeah.
That sort of pink blue image, that's what it is. So if you look on the website, if you Google Essex Compass, that will take you through to that dedicated website online form, a lot of information on there. And for Safe Steps, that is the route. I explain it like if you go to A&E, you will see somebody in triage first. They don't necessarily provide your treatment, but they will guide you to the right people for whatever your needs are. And that's what Compass is, it's a triage. So if you come through to Compass, then you will be triaged, and then you will be put with the best service that best meets your needs.
Okay, brilliant. Sarah, thank you so much. That was really
interesting. Okay, you're very welcome.
Thank you. All right, so we will see you again soon, and see you next week when we're we'll have those bits and bobs that were quarantined because that's part of our time scale. So ours will be quarantined, so you won't have to do any of that. So we'll just be handing them over, and hopefully it's not too much trouble.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks.